These images have an extremely disturbing backstory. It's a mystery turned into a true crime case. A very, very unique case. You won't want to miss it. Hi, I'm Meg. I talk about true crime. Let's get into this case. The year is 1961, and these men are on a boat in the middle of two islands in the Bahamas. Suddenly, they spot something in the water, and they're like, what is that? What they find completely shocks them. It's an 11-year-old girl alone on a dinghy boat. She had been at sea completely alone for over 3 days at this point, and little did they know she had witnessed something horrific. They quickly brought her on board, and she was in pretty rough shape. She hadn't eaten or drank anything in basically 4 days, and she was sunburnt, dehydrated, everything. So she could hardly get any words out at all. She got her name out and not much more. And then she just collapsed, and she was out for a while. The men who saved her thought that, she had probably just been on a boat that sunk, but little did they know that that was not the case at all. It was a lot darker than that. This little girl was referred to as the sea orphan, but she had a name. Her name was Jo Duperrault. And only a few weeks before this incident, 1961, she was living with her family, very happy, normal life. She lived with her brother, sister, mom, and dad. Her dad, Arthur Duperrault, had always had a dream of taking his family on a cruise around the world. And his dream finally came true when he got them a boat. This boat was called the Bluebell, and their adventure was about to begin. Arthur himself didn't know that much about sailing, so he actually hired his friend to be their captain. His name was Julian Harvey, and he was actually a former World War II pilot. Julian was accompanied by his wife on the Bluebell ship, and she kind of was like the chef on board. So on November 8th of 1961, they all sailed off on the Bluebell to go around the world. Less than a week later, on the 11th of November, a man is spotted in the middle of the ocean on a dinghy boat, and he's yelling, "Please help, I have a dead baby on board." They go to help him, and he did. He had the youngest Duperrault child unalived in the boat. And this man was none other than Julian, the captain of the Bluebell. Where's the rest of the family? Where's his wife? He claimed that at 8:30 p.m. the night before, a storm hit the Bluebell ship, and he wasn't able to save anyone. He tried to save the youngest Duperrault child when he found her in the water, but she was already gone. He actually had so many details to his story that it was kind of actually hard to find holes in it. It was hard to question his story. It seemed legit. And there was no one around to say otherwise. That's until a few days later when Terry Jo is found in her lifeboat. And she has a very different story to tell. They had brought Julian in just for questioning. He's literally mid-interview / questioning with the Coast Guard, and someone runs in saying that she's been found. Oh, one of the Duperrault children have been found. And Julian's apparently he goes, "Oh my God, isn't that wonderful?" Which probably had everybody else in the room kind of do y'all see that reaction? At that point, Julian claimed that he was getting a little bit tired and that he was going to check himself into a motel for the night. Julian does exactly that. He gets a motel, checks in under a fake name, and unalives himself in the motel room. Little bit suspicious, if you ask me. He did leave a note, but it didn't really explain anything, why he did what he did. It just said, "I got too tired and nervous and couldn't stand it any longer." That's what the note said, apparently. Terry Jo, like I said, was not in a good condition when they found her, but she eventually did regain consciousness. Oh God, I can't speak. And was able to finally tell the real story. So here is that real story. The first few days at sea were peaceful. There didn't seem to be any arguing between anyone, and things were going well. The day before the incident, they were collecting seashells on beaches, and it was all wholesome, seemingly. But then on the 5th night, Terry Jo wakes up to thudding and screaming coming from upstairs. In fact, she could hear her younger brother screaming for his dad's help, which is just it's just so sad. And the brave little girl that she is, she makes her way above deck. She goes to see what's happening. And that's where she finds her mom and her brother on the floor, with blood everywhere. Terrified and probably confused out of her mind on what's happened, she starts looking around, probably for her dad, Julian, Mary, or her little sister. And she comes across Julian, and he tells her to get below deck. He's like, go back down. She did as told, and she goes back below deck, but then it actually starts filling with oily water, and she realizes that the boat is sinking, and she makes her way back up. She runs into Julian again, and she's like, is the boat sinking? And he says, yeah. At this point, the water's like waist high, and Julian's apparently holding like a rifle. Julian then instructs her to hold the rope of the dinghy boat while he puts it in the water, but then she accidentally like lets go of the rope, and the dinghy boat starts floating off. That's when Julian jumps into the water and gets in the dinghy boat, and she watches him as he just drifts away, leaving her on a sinking boat with her family, nowhere to be seen. Well, she obviously knew where her brother and her mom were, but they were not responsive. She had no idea where her father was. She had no idea where her baby sister was, or even Mary, the wife of this man. Where is she? And all that she knew was that she had to get off of this boat. So she did exactly that. She found a little raft boat, gets in it, and drifts off into the ocean on her own. Mind you, she's only 11 years old. She must have been terrifying, and watching as the Bluebell ship sinks and she gets further and further away in a super not stable, tiny little dinghy boat in the middle of the ocean. And this now leads us back to the beginning of the story when she's found. And it's a good thing they found her when she did, because honestly, she probably wouldn't have survived much longer. It's a miracle that they came across her in like how big the ocean is. Now you're probably wondering, like, why did Julian do this? Like, what happened? And why didn't he kill her? Why did he leave her to survive? That is a question that no one really has the answer for, because no one knows why he let her live. She herself says that she thinks, she was survived for a reason, but she'll never really know why he didn't. Now, in terms of the events of that night, people think that this is what happened. So Mary was not Julian's first wife, but his sixth wife. Very Henry VIII of him. And he was broke. He was in a lot of debt, not doing too good, couldn't get a job. And people think that, he took out life insurance on his wife, Mary, and his plan was to unalive her, get that money, and yeah. But they speculate that maybe he tried to do this on the Bluebell and was caught and then had to get rid of everyone involved. That's what they speculate, but we will never actually truly know the answer. I feel just horrible for Terry, like losing your family at that age like that, like losing everyone. It's just unimaginable, and I hope she's doing well today. She apparently did not speak of the accident for over 20 years. She's married with kids, and she's retired. But yeah, that's all for this case. Thanks for watching. I'm glad to be back. Let me know what you want to see next. Bye.